As Central seeks to make a world of difference, we are all stewards of that vision, even those of us no longer living in Indianapolis. I'm Becky Perez. My wife and I moved to Pennsylvania in 2018. During the next 2 years, we shopped around for a local church, but each visit left us feeling unsatisfied. Either the preaching wasn't very strong, or our being gay was just a little too much of a novelty, or there were fewer than 20 people in the sanctuary. People were lovely, it wasn't that, but it just wasn't Central. And we realized how much Central had spoiled us. Then came COVID, with most churches canceling their in-person worship. Here in Central Pennsylvania, some churches stayed open, but obviously we didn't worship there. So when Central began to use Zoom for virtual worship, we began rejoining you. And I have to say, it was like a homecoming. Our hearts were full, our brains were provoked, and our soul was fed to see how Central was caring for the downtown community, especially during the economic hardships of the pandemic. Over the year plus, we reconnected with friends, we met some new members at Central, and we also grieved the passing of some longtime members. It was almost like we were back in Indy. During this past year, Central has pivoted in so many ways to make a difference in the world. With deliberation and creativity, most all of the services have been modified, things like food pantry, the free clothing ministry, and the thrift shop. For worship, Central invested in new technologies and skilled up some people to manage Zoom and live streaming. A special shout out to Rob, Danielle, Mary, Jim, and others. Thanks for making it happen. It wasn't always perfect, but it was always perfectly imperfect, just like Central. Also during this time of pandemic, Central nurtured and cared for its members, we community gardeners. Thanks to Central, we breathed, we meditated, we grieved for daily life as we had known it, and we found ourselves using the word liminal in everyday conversation. And we were reassured that our faith questions during such a stressful time were not unique. We weren't alone. It was exactly what Bev and I needed during a time when so many were isolating. It motivated us and gave us strength to safely contribute to our own local community in Pennsylvania. We were part of the early cottage industry sewing face masks. And on many early winter mornings, we got out of bed to go clean snow and ice off the cars of exhausted hospital workers finishing their overnight shifts. The pandemic has reminded us of our blessings, our time, talent, and money, for which we are merely temporary stewards. Like gardeners, we have the resources, the seeds and the tools to work within God's creation to cultivate growth around us. And so while we may not be physically side by side with Central members, we're virtually gardening with you to make a world of difference. And we look forward to seeing what seeds and tools each of us will bring to our glorious God garden.